here that you're going to have to clean often, and I'm just wondering if Katadyn thought of that. Okay folks, welcome back. Firstly, I just want to point out to the last clip, I failed to mention that the Grand River Valley has an abundance of acreage of farmland as well. And hence why you would notice the turbidity of this water. There's a lot of siltation. And unfortunately that's a lot of runoff of beautiful farmland, but that's the nature of the Grand River. They do a lot of practices in agriculture to try and prevent that topsoil loss, but as you can see, after a couple days of hard rain, the water, especially down in the lower end, that's what the water looks like. In the cleaning, if I wanted to clean that mesh out, I wouldn't have to take this off. I just brush that out as stainless steel screen, and no problem at all. However, I want to show you the difference. I think is good, but in order to, I want to take this apart and just show you. This is the coarse filter, prevent twigs, leaves, of course, so it doesn't plug up your filter. But the next one, the finer one, much finer screen. That is a, looks like, I can't tell if that's a fine metal screen or a polymer type of screen mesh, but I got a feeling it looks like could be fine mesh, but it's much finer than this one here. And it's going to be interesting during this project, this presentation, whether that is fine enough to extract the fine silt in this sample of water. But to me, you would have to take this apart. I would have to think, after a use, this is going to clog up pretty quickly. And in order for you to get that out, like the way it is right now, you can't get in and clean that out. You have to take this hose off. And quite honestly, you can't pull this hose off here. You have to cut this hose. I had to cut this in order to get this off, in order just to show you the difference. But the fine mesh here, that you're going to have to clean often, and I'm just wondering if Katadyn thought of that. That's on way too tight, and I don't know if I'd lube that, but it's going to take for some experimentation on my part just to see. But anyways, that's hard to remove. I wouldn't have to remove this because that screen is exposed. I can scrub it, and that's all I have to do with it, because that's it. All it does is just go right back into the tube through the system. But again, their purpose was to try to eliminate your ceramic cartridge from plugging, probably prevent it from cleaning it as often. But that's a choice they had to make, probably back in their own factory. But anyways, I digress. The ceramic filter itself, as you see it now, 25 years ago when I first used it, this was practically pure white. After several uses, as it indicates in the manual, to remove it and allow this to dry. Don't leave it to dry with the housing on, because you'll have mold. So I did so. I thought I gave it enough. It was slightly discolored because of the use of water that I was filtering, but it looked like it was dry. Obviously the color, it was brighter, so I felt it was dry enough. So when I enclosed it, sealed it up, and a week later I used it. I think I did open it first just to see what it would like, what it was like, and sure enough, mold had occurred. So I cleaned it off as much as I could, but you can still see there's still some discoloration. But that's something from 25 years ago. So what I did was last week is I flushed this entire system out with some good clean water, and had a little bit of disinfectant in it, but I was felt quite safe just flushing it out with the water I had, some tap water. And so when I took it apart to dry, obviously it was darker in color. So I let it dry for a couple of days. It was inside the studio here, and it's fairly warm in the studio when the air conditioner's not on. And so a couple nights, 2 or 3 nights, I noticed that it was getting brighter in color, lighter in color, and I felt it was drying enough until, in fact, I think I put it out in the sun while I was working one day, and just to touch or to look at it, it looked dry. But when I did touch it, it was still cold. And to me, it told me that with the characteristic of ceramic, it tends to go cooler when you have water in it. So when I touched this, this was still cold after 3 or 4 days being in a building in a warm environment. That told me that there was still water in this ceramic cartridge. So I didn't bother closing it in. I wanted to wait till this was perfectly dry. And it took a good week. I can touch this now. That's warm. And obviously it was brighter in color. A couple days it was brighter in color, but it was deceptive because when I touched it, it was still cool. That told me there was still water in this cartridge. So I wasn't going to cover it back up until it was completely dry. So now this cartridge is completely dry, it's warm, and I feel quite comfortable of sealing it back up again after this demonstration. And the next clip will be filtering the water. You can just quickly, the O-ring after 25 years, still in good condition. I'll lubricate it back up. The piston itself in good condition. The O-ring is in excellent condition. As I said, many years ago I did use it, but not that much. So anyways, that's the inside. Everything looks good. Thanks for watching.